From the Mumbai studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Arnab Goswami on the debate at 9. Presented by Amity University. Powered by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Century Ply and Fisdom.
Good evening and welcome. Param Singh has been suspended. His partner Sachin Waze is accused of murder and he, Param, is being investigated for an endless number of crimes which in short amount to misuse of office and abuse of power. It is likely that following suspension, Param Singh will not be dismissed. What a disgrace! What a disgrace! In the last year and a half, the extent to which these two, Param and Waze, this combination has disgraced the uniform is beyond words. No ethical boundary was left unviolated by them. Extortion, look at the charges. Fabrication of evidence, false cases, institutionalized falsification, in some cases destruction of evidence. What Justice Chandrachud rightly described overall in my case as, and I quote, the weaponization of the criminal justice system, where a person in office with malicious intent uses the office as a weapon to trample over the rights of citizens, and where a person like Param and Waze begin to believe that they are the law, to the extent that in complete and open violation of the basic instructions of the Supreme Court rules for interim protection, the two co-accused and now suspended policemen, ex-policemen, openly meet, violate the care, two hoots they care for anyone, and confabulate for over an hour. Can you believe it? Something which any ordinary citizen would be severely punished to set an example. But ladies and gentlemen, let me now tell you the bigger story and show you the bigger picture. And what is the bigger picture? The bigger picture is that, and I must say this to you tonight, the bigger picture is that for a year and a half, this network has fought with all its conviction against the rot in the system that people like Param and Waze have come to represent. And that as we fought not just these two now suspended and disgraced cops, but almost the entire Indian media that rallied with these two. Almost the entire Indian media that cheered for Sachin Waze and Param. And that media which disgraced itself by collaborating with these two now suspended police officers. And that media which is now looking for a place to hide. I call these media, these channels, some of whom tell me, and I listen with disbelief, that they have stolen my shoes. These channels which are the editorial sidekicks of Param and Waze, they have no face to show and no place to hide. History will never forget the shame they brought upon themselves and this great country. The shame they brought upon the history of journalism by dovetailing their corporate interests with those of such police officers. But be that as it may, tonight is a great night where I feel as confident and where we feel as confident and sure that the truth will win. As confident as I felt the night I first drove out of Taloja. And to everyone, and to those who are meant to uphold and interpret the laws, I say tonight in confidence, please study in details the multifarious battles of the Republic Media Network for a year and a half. And if nothing, let us quietly acknowledge the role this network has had in fighting the essential battle between good and bad, honesty and deceit, and truth and falsehood. And the role that this network has had and will forever have in ensuring that the truth wins. For us, we don't speak these words. We don't advertise these words. We live them. We live them, ladies and gentlemen. We live them every single day. And that's debate number one tonight. Long overdue. And much more should happen. Param be suspended. But can the betrayal of the public by those who abuse power and the Lutyens media collaborators be ignored? And after Mamta says no UPA, Rahul Gandhi launches an all-out attack on the Trinamool Congress. Debate number two. Debate number three. Omicron has come to India. No delaying boosters now, I say. Give everyone boosters, those who need them. That's debate number three, and here are the headlines this Thursday evening on the Debate Tonight. Disgraced Param Singh has been suspended from service, shown the door. One of the most disgraceful chapters in history, and a severe lesson for the Lutyens media that colluded with him. Sources say charge sheet in extortion case against Param could be filed soon against the disgraced officer. Gloves are off in the opposition. Congress unleashes all-out attack. Rahul Gandhi leads the attack on Mamta. In turn, Prashant Kishore takes on Rahul, and Priyanka Vadra says leadership is not the divine right of any individual. India records 2 Omicron cases. Both travelers flew in from South Africa. Demands grow for a booster shot option. And he is a disgraced police officer, under whose watch the abuse of power was established, and under whose watch corruption was institutionalized in India's financial capital. 1 week after he came out of hiding, Param has now been suspended. Ladies and gentlemen, the lessons are many tonight. Many, many lessons. Let's debate.
The duo that rewarded each other and scratched each other's back. This picture will go down in Indian police history as the biggest disgrace.
1 year and 1 month after they framed Republic, over 240 days after he first went missing, and 4 days after a secret meeting went public, disgraced IPS officer Param Singh, former Mumbai Police Commissioner, has now been suspended.
False charges, extortion, conspiracy, cheating, atrocities. It's been a shameful run.
This is really about a disgraced Mumbai Police Commissioner who's actually now being spoken of as allegedly having committed a lot of extortion cases and other cases in which he's being spoken about. Right here in the Supreme Court on 24th of November, the Supreme Court went ahead and gave him interim protection when he stated that if I go to Mumbai, there could be a threat to my life. However, the Supreme Court also made a wry observation about how and what would the common man be thinking if they had to be in a similar place. Param Singh himself, who's been named in 5 FIRs and also extortion cases and an Atrocities Act case.
Watch this video from the 25th of November. An officer on the run facing criminal charges who shunned his responsibilities in uniform appeared from thin air and even had the audacity to use an official vehicle to go in for questioning for a charge of corruption. Watch this closely.
हाँ बोल रहा हूँ
He is facing disciplinary proceeding for irregularities. He has been suspended for lapses committed. He has been suspended from unauthorized absence from duty.
One year and 1 month ago,
जितनी अभी तक हमने इन्वेस्टिगेशन किया है उसमें मैंने आपको बताया कि 3 टेलीविज़न चैनल्स के नाम सामने आए हैं। सबसे बड़ा नाम है रिपब्लिक टेलीविज़न का।
he foisted false charges on Republic. He's misused office. And it's not in one case alone. He's under NIA scanner. And he had the audacity to meet a co-accused for an hour. He's bent every rule according to legal experts.
The suspension marks the end of one of the most shameful factors in the history of Mumbai police. A man who one of the most respected policemen have called a shame and a blot. But the victory is finally for citizens as the symbol of corruption faces the axe finally.
And I think it's important to sit together tonight and look at the lessons from this, if for nothing else but to ensure that this kind of mutilation of the criminal justice system is never attempted by anyone ever again in the future. Vibhuti Narayan Rai is former IPS officer joining us tonight. Brij Mohan Srivastav, national spokesperson of the NCP. My friend Savio Rodriguez of the Goa Chronicle. Nirwa Mehta of the leading website, news website, Op India. Subhash Jha, Mumbai-based advocate. KK Manan, senior advocate. From Delhi, MR Venkatesh, political analyst and lawyer. Advocate Rahul Narvekar will be with us tonight. Our senior associate editor Shawan Sen, our fantastic reporter Alisha, who's on top of the story. And I'd like to start first with Aryaman Sundaram. Aryaman Sundaram, senior advocate of the Supreme Court. So this macabre sequence of events now closing in with the suspension, demands for a dismissal every single day. More details come out about what Param has been doing. But there are also a series of ongoing cases. Mr. Sundaram, in an open violation of the Supreme Court protocol for interim protection, he's gone and had an open meeting, which I'm sure you've seen reported, with none other than Sachin Vaze, co-accused in multiple cases. And that open meeting, the way he's done it, shows that he doesn't even care much for the Supreme Court. What are the lessons in this? Let me broadly begin by asking you, Mr. Sundaram, what do you think are the broad lessons for all of us, for the whole system, and for citizens tonight?
Arnab, I think it's a very unhappy story when we have to say, but who will guard the guard dog? Who will watch the watchdog? The problem that we face today is that the public trust, public faith in institutions such as the police, which are meant to look after the individual, is eroding day by day. And the more incidents like this come to light, the worse it gets. You referred now to a very simple statement earlier, which I saw, where you said that they think they are the law.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in cases like this, it's not that they think they are the law. They think they are above the law. And that's a big difference. And that's the danger. If they are the law, they'll follow the law, they'll implement the law. But if they feel they're above the law, they feel the law does not apply to them. Now, I am very surprised. I think anyone would be very surprised that he had such an open meeting with the very person who's been accused of such grave crimes. A person who has really brought a lot of disgrace to the police, and a person who today, by his own statements, seems to be involved in a lot of criminal activities, very, very serious and heinous. For this ex-police commissioner who pleads his innocence when he is meant to cooperate in an investigation, to meet this person openly like this, I felt was very brazen.
Very, very.
Unless, of course, he didn't intend it to be open, in which case it was still not right.
Terrible.
But it wouldn't have been that brazen.
Yeah.
So it really makes me wonder it really makes me wonder where the citizen is going to look, where the people who are going to look after the rights of citizens themselves don't seem to bother about the law at all, and themselves are implicated in such serious and heinous crimes. And I'm afraid incidents like this keep eroding confidence which has already been very eroded in the police. And it's very unfortunate that things like this should happen.
It shouldn't, you're so right. And personally, may I say, I'm sure Mr. Manan also, as you know, Mr. Sundaram is a really, veteran criminal lawyer. There was a sense of disbelief, Mr. Manan, at the fact that he went and had a meeting with Sachin Waze. And then he went on to say, he tried to put a purses before the commission in which he said, well, I had a meeting. Essentially, it was that there was a so what to it. The doors were open, he said, and we went in and we spoke. It's an acknowledgement, in a way, Mr. Manan, that here's a person who believes that nothing applies to him. Now, this particular disgraceful chapter, viewers, ending with this suspension order, Government of Maharashtra Home Department. We are talking here on the debate tonight of lessons. Just imagine, Mr. Manan, what was happening all year long while these people were ruling the roost in Mumbai. If this is what they were doing in individual cases, financial capital of India, Mr. Manan, just imagine how the financial and commercial capital of the nation, since, you had a machinery which was meant to uphold the law, but it became a law into itself. Just imagine how much this combination would have done. Just imagine, it's ghastly to even think how many people would have silently suffered the tyranny of this combination of Waze and Param.
Arnab, first of all, I would like to congratulate the Republic TV, especially Arnab Goswami. Secondly, I totally agree with the remarks made by my learned friend Sundaram, but I will make a few supplement. Likewise, that he should have been suspended long back, because his conduct of rules for a civil services IPS officer will be applicable on him.
Yes.
I do not know why the personnel department long back has not taken the cognizance regarding him. And there were two issues. One issue was pending before the Honorable Court, for which non-value warrants have been issued. He did not surface.
No.
Thereafter, when the 82-83, meaning by proclaimed offender being issued, thereafter he surfaced, because a lot of properties which he would have made and would have been surfaced, and because of that reason he surfaced and applied before the Honorable Supreme Court. Again, the Honorable Supreme Court had asked him about his whereabouts, about apprehending that he may not get any relief from the Honorable Supreme Court. Only then he surfaced. But my perception is totally different about this man, who was the protector of the society. Being ex-police commissioner of Mumbai, IPS officer, whose duty was to uphold the law, not to take the law in his own hands. Not only that, he was performing duty worse than an underworld people. What to talk? He was involved to falsely implicate people like you, people like others, for extortion, misusing his position, being police official. What to talk more than that? My apprehension still is that why he has not been dismissed. He was absented from the duty for the last about 1 year, more than 1 year.
250
then
days.
why the cognizance has not been taken by the personnel department and the local government, because his case will be dealt by two governments. One by the state, another one by the central government, and that personnel department. He should have been dealt under the rules of that conduct rules of the civil services. For that purpose, he should have been dismissed by now, because of his conduct, because of his involvement in the criminal activities, with the connivance of another accused who was already arrested by the investigating agency.
but in this...
He is behind the bar. Above all that, as my learned friend has told you, that he is meeting the co-accused conspicuously without taking the permission of the court, without taking permission of the any court of law, and with the connivance of the jail authorities.
Exactly.
How he can meet the co-accused who has made a statement against
So why is it
him?
going? In fact, I think Subhash Jha basically, you know, what the two learned advocates have said, so much should have happened by now. In fact, it's going too slow, isn't it? We're all watching with a sense of disbelief. The person actually has been thinking till recently he can manipulate the system again. Just imagine the atrocities and torture common citizens Subhash Jha have undergone under this man as Home Commissioner, when today the FIRs against him. Punishment for extortion, putting a person in fear of death, putting a person in fear of accusation of offense, which is essentially some form of blackmail, misappropriation dishonestly of property, criminal breach of trust, false documentation, 464, forgery, 465, M.R. Venkatesh, are you seeing this? Dishonestly making a false claim in court, 209, false information respecting an offense committed, 203, kidnapping for ransom. I mean, I don't know. What's going on? Punishment for criminal intimidation and conspiracy. This is just disgraceful, you know. I don't know why why are people
Arnab,
giving so much leeway here? Yes, please.
Arnab, apart from all that you have said, something which has been missed out is this, that this man is also being investigated by NIA. Now, he has not been made accused. He has not been arraigned as accused as yet.
Yeah.
In spite of the fact that there are clinching material against him as against him.
Yeah.
Now, incidentally, the petition which he files in Bombay High Court and which was taken to the Supreme Court thereafter against the order dated 16th of September 2021, he doesn't seek any relief which has been granted by the High Court, by the Supreme Court.
No.
He doesn't seek any relief that he should not be arrested. That is not even the petition.
No.
So it doesn't matter. He has been lucky enough to get a relief that no coercive action shall be taken. By whom? He is required by six FIRs, including the case which is Antilia case, which is being investigated by the NIA.
Yeah.
NIA is certainly not a party to the petition in the High Court. So therefore, this order will not be applicable to NIA. What prevents NIA from taking him in custody? This man has been absconding and therefore capable of absconding yet. The information which I have, he makes a statement which the Supreme Court records in its order dated 22/11/2021, that counsel makes the petitioner, his counsel makes a statement that the petitioner is very much in India, but apprehends action being taken in the state of Maharashtra. Now, my information is that on that day also, that is on 22nd November 2021, he was not in Maharashtra. He was not in India. He was in Nepal. And he drives down from Nepal, enters in India. Nepal is definitely a foreign country, is not in India, is not part of India. So therefore, a palpably false statement seems to have been prima facie made. I think the council or the state legal department, whichever is handling the matter, has been extremely complicit. They should have been more vigilant. What prevented them from moving the Supreme Court, seeking clarification of the order, or seeking recall of the order even?
You know, the element of providence, and if I may say so, MR, divine providence in this case must also be looked at. Many people ask me, and they ask Shravan, divine providence in this case, that you remember, between October and our most respected Mr. Ariman Sundaram and the highly learned Mr. K.K. Mannan know this aspect as lawyers, Subhash Jha, that between October, November, December, January, February, right, there was this institutionalized witch hunt by Wazir and Parambir against Republic and me. And I must say this openly today, that but for some people in the media, like Op India, which represented by Nirva tonight and my friend Savio Rodriguez, I must say that it was almost the entire Indian media also with Sachin and Parambir Singh. They had joined, they had colluded, right? They had formed this opportunistic alliance. In that entire period, we said, look here, these people are being dishonest to the service and to the uniform. And why I call it divine providence, Shravan and Savio, you can take this forward, is because had it not been for a change of high tide and low tide near the Mumbai coast, where Mansukh Hiren's body, after he was murdered, allegedly on the instructions of Sachin Waze, and his body was dumped, his mouth was stuffed with handkerchiefs, Nirva, you know that? And his hands were tied and his body was dumped. But such is the hand of the God Almighty that the body came back after being dumped into the creek and it was found. And then Parambir Singh told all of us, you remember that, Subhash Jha, oh, he's committed suicide. And then Parambir Singh got busy in creating an alibi for Sachin Waze, for which Parambir Singh was being investigated. Somewhere midway, the NIA left that investigation. Till today, NIA owes an explanation to the people of this country on why it has gone slow in the Mansukh Hiren investigation. And just, if I have the pictures, I'll show of that vehicle. I asked the producers to pull it out this morning. The same vehicle, not this one, there's a deep olive green Scorpio which was planted outside Antilia with the bombs by Sachin Waze, is the vehicle in which Sachin Waze drove to my house when he brought 100 people with AK-47s in their hands to arrest me. Viewers, I'm showing you pictures on the right. The same vehicle then, which was parked right outside my house on the right-hand side of the screen, was later stuffed with bombs and is on the left-hand side of your screen. And I'm showing this today because I want the Lutyens media to hang its head in shame. Shame on you, Lutyens media. We fought them. This man took the same car, stuffed it with bombs, took it outside Mukesh Ambani's house. We fought them alone, Savio. For me, that's the biggest lesson. This is, in my view, Savio and MR, you can take it forward, the most, when this level of crime was being committed against an editor of India's largest network. The media glorified this man. He became so confident that he stuffed the car with bombs and took it outside the house of India's richest man. The media is therefore as culpable and as complicit with Parambir Singh and Sachin Waze. MR, would you like to add to that? MR and Savio.
Yes.
Sorry for a long intervention. MR.
Arnab, yeah,
First MR.
The learned senior.
Go ahead.
Learned seniors have dealt on the legal side. Let me deal with the political side. Arnab, this man is no longer a disgraced officer. He is a rogue who has gone berserk. Let us be very clear, and there are telltale evidences right through the last few years that this man was doing this extortionist racket, of course, with several of his officers. He was these two are not merely a pair. There is a pack of officers within the Mumbai police who are doing this, and unfortunately, I would say that they had the temerity of opening a front with you. But that is not my point here. The point here is that the Lutyens media, Arnab, Lutyens media were gloating, cheering, and eulogizing this dirty pair when you were arrested. And there was an all-round glee that, look, this is finally what has happened to Republic. And I told you, they were fixing the TRP, and that's how their TRP was high. But now, as they say, the chickens have come home, and it's there for everybody to see. Now this Lutyens media is now hiding its face behind its tail. I don't know what to say of the Lutyens media. Not a whisper, Arnab. Today I did have some time. I did surf various channels to see where the hell are they reporting about the suspension of...
No. It's unbelievable. They have just decided to black out the entire biggest story of the day.
Absolutely not a whisper. Not a whisper in any mainstream Lutyens channel.
And this media ran to show. It made Parambir and Waze. It ran hagiographies on these two individuals. This media has covered itself in so much shame. I say once again, to those media, they are editorial sidekicks of these two policemen. Till that they will forever be remembered for being editorial sidekicks of these two people. Yes, Savio.
See, there are really three stakeholders in what I call the cesspool of corruption in Mumbai at this point of time. One, of course, is the police. Two is the political power that controlled the police and allowed for them to target you and other such people that come up with honest and truthful journalism. And number three, the most shameful of all, is what you and I represent, which is media, the Lutyens media, which is something that has been disgraceful as far as reportage on Param Singh and Sachin Vaze is concerned. Now, why is this? This is because today in India, people cannot see the fact that truth has to be told irrespective of political lineages. That's the problem. The problem today in media is everyone seems to be aligned with some political party, and some political party is aligned with the police, and that's what you have seen happening in your case. The Republic team, I've had calls, Arnab, from people in the media saying, why are you supporting Arnab? You will get into trouble. We did get into trouble. But the fact of the matter is, you stood by the truth. And that is why we stand by you and we continue to stand. That's the problem with the Lutyens media. They don't understand the value of the truth as far as journalism is concerned. And today, if we have to change India, Arnab, it is only with the truth as journalists, because we are the torchbearers of the truth and not the torchbearers of the politicians.
And the truth, like a shining light, is going to come out. Remember, and I remind the viewers today that there was a news channel whose name was in the original FIR for TRP manipulation. Parambi removed the name of that channel. Within 24 hours said, I have given them a clean chit. Without investigation, accused Republic.
Correct.
Right? And then went and gave an exclusive interview on that channel, whose name he removed. Shame on this level of conspiracy. Crying shame, Shravan. Anyway, the rot is out. The rot is out. Alisha, this 3-page suspension order, in my view, crystallizes the most disgraceful episode in our recent history. Parambir is under suspension with immediate effect. Sachin Vaze is in Taloja jail. The entire modus operandi is under question. The implications are huge. How many cases were fabricated, Shravan, people are asking. How many terrorist acts were potentially undertaken? How many businessmen were blackmailed? How many people had bombs planted outside their house? How many cars were stolen? How many people were killed? How expensive was the extortion operation? Who allowed it? Very serious questions, Shravan, and Alisha has been at the forefront of this. Alisha, let me start with you. Right now,
it's what question arises here.
What question arises here, sir? Go on. That's the NCP stepping in. What question arises here?
When that man has made up this much type of criminals and crime, do you think that whatever he has written in 3-page letter against the then Home Minister Shri Anil Deshmukh ji, those charges are also false because he is a culprit. And I want to congratulate my Home Minister on behalf of Rashtrapati Congress Party that he has taken a right decision to suspend him immediately.
What a skewed argument.
Very needed demand of the peoples and the others. It is not a matter of laughing.
There is a honor among thieves.
When the government of India has failed to suspend him, when government of India has failed to take any action against him, our Home Minister has taken.
Do you realize what you are saying?
Suspended him.
Do you realize what you are saying?
I want to congratulate my Home Minister.
Are you congratulating him,
I am
Parambir?
realizing.
You are congratulating Parambir also?
I am saying. Do you think that I doesn't know?
Yeah, you don't know. That is what you don't know the implications of what you are saying. You don't understand what you are saying. Please understand what you are saying.
Nirva also wants to come in. Nirva.
How you can say that I doesn't understand? When I am saying, I'm saying with all responsibility, that man who was making conspiracy against so many people, do you think that he has not?
No, but how did he? Okay, no. One question goes.
So if that is the point.
One question goes. If the man carried out so many conspiracies, okay, let me ask you this question. No. I ask you the question.
What is the system and checks and balances?
I am asking you, sir.
He was blackmailing the Home Minister of the state.
No, I'd like to ask.
That is the fact. How did he run riot? You explain to us. You are all political parties. You owe an explanation to us.
Maybe we can say it. Maybe. I am not saying that
blackmailing the Home Minister. What was the Home Minister doing? What was the Home Minister doing to check the same type of blackmailing on others?
Okay, now.
You mean to say if the Home Minister can be blackmailed, why cannot Arnab be blackmailed?
No, in the case of the TRP case, 1 second. A minute. No, Mr. Srivastava, MR, in the TRP case, I'd like to, Sachin Waze has in a statement before the Enforcement Directorate, Nirva, confessed. And the confession is the following, which eminent minds like Ariman Sundaram, Mr. Manan, Subhasja, who are well learned in the law, will understand. And I bring this to their attention also, but I'll take a comment from Nirva. Sachin Waze says to the Enforcement Directorate in a written signed statement, he says, I was being given political instructions to frame Arnab Goswami. I was being given political instructions to target Republic.
Do you believe on him? A culprit.
That is an evidence under law.
So many.
Sir, that is an evidence under law.
He's saying right? Do you think that
a statement he has made under investigation, but basically it tells me that
why he cannot give a wrong statement.
So you are saying he was doing malicious things on his own. You want me to believe that?
100%. Why not?
100%. Why not, you say? Okay, Nirva. And let's get also Alisha back. And I lost out, I think, Vibhuti Narayan Rai. Yes, Nirva. Nirva is responding, sir. Nirva.
See, first of all these things against Parambir Singh came out only and only after he went after Anil Deshmukh. And Sachin Waze, when he says about him being working under political pressure, let's also remind the audience that very briefly after he was suspended and after being in the investigation for custodial death, he had briefly joined the Shiv Sena. And when we say that Parambir Singh is being under the radar and being investigated for so many allegations, these are not the new allegations. There have been so many allegations against him even before this. He was accused of dereliction of duty during the Mumbai attacks in 2008. That's way long back. He was accused by of torturing Sadhvi Pragya when she was in jail, in custody. There were allegations. There were also, very interestingly, that when Sheena Bora murder case, when her body was found in Konkan Range, he was an IG of Konkan Range. There are so many shady deals. We don't know how much of it is real, how much of these are allegations. But none of these were investigated. None of these came out till the time he went after he named Anil Deshmukh, the NCP leader and Home Minister of Maharashtra.
Her point is of complicity. Her point is, Mr. Srivastava, you understand
we don't know because see, and when he talks about when we talk about fascist governments and media and the freedom of media, so Parambir Singh is suddenly being investigated by the Maharashtra government. What about the time when Maharashtra government, or rather because Maharashtra police falls under the government, right? When they went after you.
I get your point. So Shravan, the point that she's making, and you can take over this segment, the point she's making is very valid. I think the big lesson here, and maybe you can take this over and hand it to Mr. Sundaram, is that the corrupt police officers will look for political benefactors. And they will go to political benefactors and say, we will do your short-term dark deeds, we will carry out hatchet jobs for you, and in turn, we want unquestioned authority. In this case, most unfortunately, I must say, Shravan, this is exactly what Parambir did. He said, I'll fix Republic, let me have a free run. He fixed Republic, he got a free run, he put, and then, Sachin Waze put bombs outside Mukesh Ambani's house. The lessons are also for the political class, Shravan. They must not patronize these people.
Well, that's exactly what has happened today, Arnab, because what we have essentially seen is that there is a pattern. That pattern operates in Mumbai. Everyone who's been covering the Mumbai police will actually tell you that this extortion racket that has been going on for years put together has finally come out in the open. And who, after all, are the benefactors here? Not just the political class, but also there are very other senior IPS officers who basically come under this kind of what Parambir is saying. Sundaram he's been doing is that perhaps he was under the impression that this is not going, no one is going to stop him, because at the end of the day, he's filling the coffers for someone else. Who is the other person that needs to be investigated? But the fact of the matter is that he, along with few other, they were basically carrying out that extortion racket. In fact, there are junior officers who have come on record during this entire investigation to say that there were specific instructions that were given by the superiors to carry out this entire extortion racket. So this needs to, Mr. Subhasji, if I can come to you, this needs a pure cleanup. A pure cleanup is what is required at this point in time.
Certainly, yes. And at least I have been telling everyone that not only the police, but I'm telling you my experience of more than 3 decades. I can tell you cleanup is required and in the entire rank of file of every investigating agencies, be it CBI, be it Enforcement Directorate, be it NIA, everything requires cleanup. There is no accountability. And what is more important is that the perception of our courts have to change now. Mr. Arya Sundaram has been in the Supreme Court. Now the problem starts from there. The courts believe whatever is being done by the police is correct. Now the concept or doctrine of prima facie case, that look here, if there is a prima facie case against you, we will not interfere. That has to be given a complete relook, and it has to start from the Supreme Court.
Yeah, because I'd love Mr. Sundaram to take on that, because Mr. Sundaram, this whole business that the police basically waves this as a card, you know, we say, okay, here's Mr. Sundaram, he's a respectable man, follows the law. One day he takes a morning walk, the cops come to him and say, Mr. Sundaram, sorry, I'm just taking you as an example, Mr. Sundaram, and says, Mr. Sundaram, we believe we can accuse you prima facie of something. And then you say, no, but you know, I have followed the law, here are my papers, etc. This is no, we feel there is a prima facie case against, right? And then most honorable people got caught in a bind. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that BARC, for example, is a squeaky clean organization. I'm not holding a card for them. But BARC had to pay 3 million rupees, 30 lakh as a bribe to Sachin Waze. Incredible story here. The TRP case being investigated by Sachin Waze, for which Sachin Waze gets a big prize from Parambir, the picture is still there. And then Sachin Waze coolly goes across and takes 30 lakh rupees in bribes through Hawala channels allegedly from BARC. It's crazy. It's just, you know, the limits, you know, on the police become necessary at some point. Yes, please. Sir.
Look, Arnab, without a doubt, the police cannot go to such extents, officers cannot go to the extents they have. Extortion is not something which is hidden. It's not something which is unknown. If the volume and the variety of the offenses are so many that the police are committing of extortion, everything else which you're finding now, it's not something which is so hidden that nobody knew. It's not something that, oh, it was so secret nobody knew. It would have been something people would have had to know, at least people in authority. It's like a puppet show. You have your puppeteer, you have the string, and you have the puppet. It's the puppet who's doing the extortion.
Precisely.
The string is his superior officer who's telling him what to do.
That's the
point.
point.
The puppeteer over there is protecting the string and the puppet. So whether you like it or not, without political patronage, without the support which is coming from the political class, the police force cannot go to the extremes that you find that they have gone in this matter. They could not have done it without the feeling, without the strength of knowing that they were a protected species. and protected by the police. While dealing with that, let me also deal with this statement which is made about what are the courts doing about a prima facie case.
Yeah.
The fact is, whether we like it or not, our system is this. It's like saying every act, even if you challenge the act of legislature, there's a presumption of constitutionality. If the police are going to charge you with something, there's a presumption that prima facie what they're saying is not untrue, but requires investigation, but you can always rebut it. Which is why, although it was said that the Supreme Court seems to be lending too much credence to the police, far from it. It is the Supreme Court which referred to the caged parrot.
Yeah,
of
it's
the
also
CBI. It's the
true.
Supreme Court which has kept a vigil here.
Which is true.
Yeah.
I didn't mean.
And it's the Supreme Court who, in your own case, Arnab.
In my case,
in your own case.
Yes.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying that in all these matters, it is finally the court. Yes, unfortunately, justice does take a bit of time. But while doing so, the court also has to be fully satisfied.
Yes.
Because for an innocent person, there could also be 5 guilty people.
No, I agree with you on that.
The court has to weigh all this, and I believe the court is doing it.
No, I completely believe the court is doing it. And just one small point here. You know, I waited with bated breath to see the judgment in my case. Rahul Narvekar, who was with me on the day I was arrested, knows that, of the Supreme Court. I waited 2 weeks and I was getting anxious. You know, what's the court going to say? And I can tell you, sir, that judgment of Arnab Goswami versus State of Maharashtra, Subhash Jha, which is being quoted everywhere right now, you know, is one of the most seminal judgments. The court actually observed that there was no prima facie case, but did not limit its observations to the fact that there was no prima facie case of 306 against me. It went into laborious details about the weaponization of the criminal justice system and the misuse of the law. And I think that becomes very important in the context of the detailed observations on liberty. Alisha, where is Parambir? What is he doing? You know, he was apparently planning to have a media jamboree, give interviews. Are the same channels which colluded with him supporting him now? What's going on?
Well, Arnab, all we know that Parambir Singh is at his official resident in Nilima, and now he's been trying to contact with many media, as now he's been suspended. He's suspended for lapses he committed. He's been suspended for unauthorized leave from work. As you know, he's been serving as a DG Home Guard, but yet he found no responsibility for the same, like he should be back to the Mumbai, but he was absconding for 230 days. All we know that the Maharashtra state government was trying hard to make a multiple communication with Parambir Singh, but he did not respond to any of the communication which was made by the Maharashtra government or by the DG Maharashtra. Importantly, what today happened, as we saw that the Maharashtra government took a very important meeting, the meeting which held between Maharashtra Home Minister Dilip Walse Patil and Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar, where the meeting which take place, and importantly in that meeting they have decided that the disciplinary proceeding for irregularities which has been done by the Parambir Singh should be noted. And now the suspension order which we saw, which was signed by Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray. So this is all because, as we know, that Parambir Singh, who landed from Chandigarh to Mumbai, and he started using all the facilities given by the state of Maharashtra, whether the fact he didn't even made a contract with the Maharashtra government, the first responsibility as per the protocol, he didn't even contact the Maharashtra government and nor the DG Maharashtra, where he has to report to his authorities. And now
this whole, you know, Alisha, sorry for cutting you short for want of time only, but this whole, what Alisha was saying, Rahul, this braggadocio, you know, I couldn't care less attitude.
He's above the law.
No, one second. Rahul, this question repeatedly being asked, the state government and its, you know, NCP person, Mr. Srivastav, you know him well, saying, we took action. What did the centre do? The centre is still dragging its feet.
Well, with regards to the action regarding suspension of Mr. Parambir Singh, I think it's too late, too little. It is this very state government that has allowed him to get away from the city and from the state for several months, allowing him all the opportunities to, to interfere with the investigation and do away with crucial evidence if so. I'm sure in the last 4 months he was not only in the hiding, but he was trying to cover his tracks as well. So who's responsible? I think it's a very comfortable quid pro quo between the state government and the alleged officer. So I think this is a game of convenience which is being spelled out. And hold your horses. Please understand, it was your primary responsibility to ensure that he is in your custody. You are the one who allowed him to get away from the city of Mumbai. Despite being under the cloud, you allowed him to get out of Mumbai. Your state agencies, your state police was the prosecuting agency. It was your responsibility to ensure that he remains in Mumbai. It was your responsibility to ensure that you get his custody. You have not been.
What do I say?
For your responsibility. So therefore, blaming others is going to help no.
I would say not too little, too late.
That the state government.
I would only say. Louder, please. I'll close this. I would only say. I'd rephrase that. I would say very little, very late. You need to act more, including the centre. Please let the centre not feel that the attention has shifted. Some great reporting by Shawan and Alisha and our entire team there. Fantastic job out there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for that. Enjoyed that legal perspective as well. And on the other side tonight, the Trinamool Congress said something you may not like, you may not agree, but which is true. UPA is finished. Essentially, Mamta said Congress is finished. Now, what does Rahul Gandhi do? Any mature politician would have perhaps done a deep introspection and spoken to Mamta Banerjee, but no. Rahul Gandhi has put his attack squad, and there's been an unrelenting attack on social media, outside Parliament, on Mamta Banerjee by the Congress party. Can you believe it? That's how far they've gone. On the other side, where that fight will go, and the latest on Omicron.